Hello, hello. We made it to 260. Let me remember God created me. Just a heads up, tomorrow we have a long page, but that is tomorrow. Just preparing myself. Give me an extra 5 minutes tomorrow. Let me remember God created me. So today we are remembering that we did not make ourselves who we truly, truly are. Father, I did not make myself, although in my insanity, I thought I did. Yet as your thought, so we are all thoughts in the mind of God. I know that's kind of weird. Yet as your thought, I have not left my source, remaining part of who created me. So you hear that quoted a lot. Ideas leave not their source. We are a thought, an idea in the mind of God, and therefore, because ideas cannot leave their source, we are always with God still, because we are a thought of God. So I have not left my source, remaining part of who created me. Your Son, my Father, calls on you today. Let me remember you created me. So that's our request. Let me remember God created me. Let me remember my identity and let my sinlessness arise again before Christ's vision through which I would look upon my brothers and myself today. So if I can remember that God created me, I am a thought in the mind of God, that should help me look at you and see you as a thought of God and see everyone as a thought of God. And then it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to thinking, oh, we're all in the one mind. Oh, we're all one. That's what those hippies mean. Now is our source remembered, and therefore we find our true identity at last. Holy indeed we are we, whatever. Holy indeed are we, because our source can know no sin. And we who are his sons are like each other and alike to him. So just another little jammer. Let me remember God created me. So we think we're this, we're that. We get distracted. We create these personalities. I create a new personality for every person that I have in my life. Everybody gets their own. That's not who I am. It's not. What you do in your life is not who you are. What label, what title is not who you are. What you have is not who you are. So getting back, let us remember who we truly are. Let us remember that God created us. Let us remember we are a thought in the mind of God. That's what you got to do today. Jesus said for lesson 260, you think you are fallible. You think you are alone. You think you are going to die. And all of these are untruths that make you feel separate. So this is what you think on a daily basis. But when you remember that God created you and that you are a sacred divine being in the mind of God, you now feel differently. You now feel calm and relaxed. You know you are eternal and you are not tormented anymore. You are not tormented anymore by chasing the idols of the world. The outside world no longer satisfies you, and you now look inside for peace, knowing that everything you want is in there. And when you look inside for peace and are no longer tormented by the outside tormentations of the world, the outside temptations of the world, you are truly happy. I have no idea if tormentations of the world is a saying or not. Tormentations. I think Webster just rolled over in his grave at me for that one. But Tormentations. Obviously, that's our word of the day. Might be a new one, but it kind of does explain being tempted and tormented at the same time. Your tormentations of the world. You guys, we're just doing the best that we can. Okay, so anyways, looking outside ourselves for everything. I mean, things are fun in this world, aren't they? Stingers and chargers and challengers and Maseratis, right? So anyways, but that can, that takes you outside of your true peace, of your true power, of your true knowledge of who you truly are. You can still pay your bills and you can still drive really nice cars, but you have to remember that you are not all this. But you ain't all that. You are an idea in the mind of God. You are eternal. So it does make a difference when you know this. It truly does. Because, say you do put all your eggs in one outside basket and then somebody crushes that basket, you're going to feel all like nothing. But when you know that you essentially are not only the basket, but you are all that is, it does make playing in this dream different. It does change the rules completely. It does change the experience of the dream when you understand who you are and you remember that God created you and you remember that you are a thought in the mind of God. And because ideas cannot leave their source, you are always, always, always going to be a part of source. You can dream and pretend and imagine and believe that you have left that source and that there is no God and you don't believe in God. But guess what? That's an illusion and that's a lie that you have chosen to tell yourself and believe. But at the end of the day, you're going back to source because you are source. You are made from source. So let me remember God created me. And let you remember God created you. And let us all remember that we are all one. Pathwaysoflight.org. Welcome to the Reading A Course in Miracles Workbook Lesson 260 Insights. Let me remember God created me. The sentence that stands out to me this time as I read this lesson is, yet as your thought, I have not left my source, remaining part of who created me. Jesus reminds me that I am God's thought. And if I am God's thought, so is my brother God's thought. We all came from the same source, the mind of God, and we remain there. We remain as thought in the mind of God. It is helpful for me to remember that this and only this is the truth. It is helpful for me to remember that my dreams of something else being real are just illusions. It is helpful for me to remember that my brother's dreams are just illusions. It is helpful for me to return to remembering that the only truth of everyone in this world is that they are unified thought in the one mind of love. This remembering comforts me and brings me peace. This remembering cuts through all the ego's clutter and deception. All the conflict of the world is easy to cut through. It never happened. All the myriad stories of differences and separation are false. They are lies. They are substitutes for the truth of our one identity. We all are the same love in the mind of love. That alone is true. Today I will rest in this remembering. Today I will be comforted in this remembering. Today I will practice remembering that I did not create myself. Let me remember God created me. How God would have me be, I am. It is helpful to look at the implications of the recognition that God created me. First, the Course tells us that God is love and nothing else. It then tells us the implication is God is but love, and therefore so am I. The Course also tells us that love is eternal, changeless, and forever extending itself. Since I am love, I must be changeless, eternal, and forever extending love. Therefore, I am harmless and invulnerable, perfectly safe. Being harmless, guilt is impossible, and fear inconceivable. Joy and peace are my natural state, for they are simply attributes of love. All this I recognize when I remember God created me. I remember myself and share God's holiness when I remember God created me. I recognize myself in all my brothers when I remember God created me. I am wholly free of conflict and filled with the joy of sharing love with all that is when I remember God created me. Today, let me remember the truth that I am created by God. I could never create myself in truth. pathwaysoflight.org. Well, there you go. That breaks it down pretty easy. That shows you how we've come to this wild idea. I mean, it feels better than the junk you've been thinking, so give it a go. Understanding that you were created by God, and God is love, and therefore you are love. Like, it's algebra. It's very simple math, you guys. So let me remember God created me. 260. I'm so excited we're in the 60s now. Father, I did not make myself, although in my insanity, I thought I did. Whoopsie daisy. Yet, as your thought, I have not left my source. That makes sense. If I'm a thought in the mind of God, ideas can't leave their source. So I have not left my source. Now I know I remain part of who created me. So I'm calling on God today as the Son of God. Let me remember you created me. Let me remember this. Let me remember this. I want to remember this. Let me remember my identity. I want to remember who I truly am. I want to remember myself as love. And let my sinlessness arise again before Christ's vision. I'm going to start seeing things differently now, though which I would look upon my brothers and myself today. I'm going to look at myself different. I'm going to look at you different. I'm going to look at everybody differently now, because now I am seeing through Christ's vision. Now is our source remembered, and therein we find our true identity at last. Like, holy crap, it took us 260 lessons. Holy indeed we are, because our source can know no sin. So we are holy, and there is no sin. And that's what we remembered yesterday. So now we begin. And we who are his sons are like each other and alike to him. And then literally Jesus just slams the book and drops the mic, because what more does he need to say? All right. So on that note, let's remember who we truly are today.